We are about to enter 2026, and today I'm breaking down the 6 key global trends in tech, geopolitics, and economy that will define the year ahead. The phone in your pocket, the car you'll drive, even your job, all of it is being reshaped by these 6 massive forces colliding right now. From the new space race for lunar resources to humanoid robots entering your workplace, I'm going to show you exactly how this works with the real companies, real money, and real consequences. Let's start with the tech war that's tearing the world into two. Trend number 1. The US-China tech rivalry and the battle for AI security. The United States and China are locked in a technological Cold War, and 2026 is the year it goes from simmer to boil. Artificial intelligence, semiconductors, quantum computing. Whoever controls these technologies controls the future. Here is a concrete example that shows exactly how high-tech stakes are. There is a Dutch company called ASML that makes extreme ultraviolet lithography machines, the only machine that can make the most advanced computer chips in the world. Each machine costs around 200 million US dollars. They are the size of a bus, and there is a literal no alternative. In 2023 and continuing into 2025, the United States pressured the Netherlands to block ASML from selling these machines to China. This was pure geopolitics. The US used its influence over a Dutch company to kneecap Chinese semiconductor advancement. Without access to ASML technology, Chinese chip makers like SMIC are stuck years behind companies like TSMC in Taiwan and Samsung in South Korea. But China isn't taking this lying down. They're investing over 150 billion US dollars in their semiconductor industry to develop domestic alternatives. Huawei surprised everyone by producing smartphones with relatively advanced chips despite the restrictions. This perfectly captures what AI sovereignty means. It's not just US versus China, it's about pulling allies into the conflict and forcing companies to choose sides. What does this mean for you? We are moving toward parallel tech universes. Chinese apps and devices will increasingly be separate from American and European ones. The seamless global tech ecosystem we have known is fragmenting. The US-China tech rivalry isn't background noise, it's the main event, and the ASML is ground zero. Trend number 2, the new space race. If you thought the space race ended in 1969, think again. 2026 is witnessing an entirely new space race, but this time it's about economics, military dominance, and literally trillions of dollars in resources. Let me give you a concrete example. SpaceX's Starship and the commercialization of space. SpaceX has fundamentally changed the economics of space access. Their Starship rocket system is fully reusable, reducing launch costs from tens of millions of dollars to potentially just a few million. In 2026, SpaceX is launching Starship mission at unprecedented pace. They are deploying massive Starlink satellites constellations for global internet coverage. They are planning cargo mission to the moon and working on crewed Mars missions. But here is where it gets geopolitical. China is building matching capabilities. They have established a permanent space station, Tiangong. They have landed rovers on Mars and the moon's far side. They have developing their own reusable rockets with significant government backing. Space is becoming critical infrastructure. Satellites providing GPS, communications, weather forecasting, and military intelligence. Whoever controls space infrastructure has enormous strategic advantages. Here is what makes 2026 pivotal. Multiple countries and companies are racing to establish permanent lunar presence. NASA's Artemis program, China's plan, and private companies like SpaceX are all developing lunar landers. But why they are all doing this? The moon has water ice that can be converted into rocket fuel, rare earth elements, and helium-3. More importantly, it's a gateway to asteroid mining, asteroid containing trillions of dollars worth of platinum, gold, and rare earths. But it's also about military advantage. China has tested anti-satellite weapons. The US Space Force was created to protect American space assets. Whoever can protect their infrastructure while threatening adversaries has massive strategic advantage. SpaceX's transformation shows that 2026 is a turning point. This isn't about exploring the cosmos anymore. It's about economic dominance, military superiority, and resources worth more than an entire global economy. The winners will have advantages that last for generations. Trend number 3. The automation wave. AI and humanoid robots enter the workforce. 2026 is the year automation becomes undeniably real. We are not just talking about software anymore. We are talking about humanoid robots physically working in warehouses, factories, and potentially your local store. This is the most disruptive labor market shift since the Industrial Revolution. Let me give you a concrete example. Tesla's Optimus humanoid robot. In 2026, Tesla is massively deploying Optimus humanoid robots in their own factories. These are real machines, capable of working, picking up objects, and performing repetitive manufacturing tasks. Here is what makes this significant. Each robot costs roughly $20,000 to build, eventually selling around $25,000 to $30,000. Compare that to a human worker earning $15 per hour, about $31,000 per year plus benefits, vacation, and sick days. A robot works 24/7, no breaks, no sick days, no health insurance, just electricity and maintenance. The economics are undeniable, and that's terrifying for millions of workers. But Tesla isn't alone. Boston Dynamics, Figure AI partnering with BMW, and Chinese robotics firms are all racing to deploy humanoid robots. Amazon is testing them in warehouses. The AI component makes this even more powerful. Modern AI can process natural language, learn from demonstrations, and adapt to new tasks. Combined with the robot body, you get machines that can be trained for almost any manual labor. Here is the disruption nobody wants to discuss. Tens of millions of jobs in manufacturing, logistics, retail, and food services could become automated in the next 5 to 10 years. China seeks humanoid robots as a solution to their demographic crisis, shrinking workforce, aging population. They are investing heavily, aiming to deploy millions of robots by 2030. Humanoid robots aren't decades away, they are here and now. 2026 is the year this goes from experimental to inevitable. The question isn't whether robots will transform the workforce, it's how fast and whether society can adopt. Trend number 4. Trade fragmentation and tariff volatility. Globalization is dying in real time. The smooth flow of goods that defined the last 30 years is being replaced by tariffs and trade barriers, forcing companies to completely rethink their operations. Let me show you exactly how this works with Apple. For decades, iPhones were made in China, but starting around 2022 and accelerating through 2025 with Trump coming to power, Apple has been frantically diversifying manufacturing away from China to India, Vietnam, Indonesia, and Brazil. And for this, there are 3 reasons. Tariffs made it expensive, COVID lockdowns proved it was risky, and geopolitical tensions made it strategically dangerous. But this shift is incredibly difficult. China didn't become the world's factory overnight. It took decades to build the supply ecosystem, trained workforce, logistic infrastructure, and quality control systems. Now Apple and others are recreating that elsewhere, training hundreds of thousands of workers, building supply networks from scratch, establishing new quality standards. For Apple, this means spending billions. For workers, new jobs in India and Vietnam, but losses in China. For consumers, potential delays and price increases. And Apple isn't alone. Samsung, Microsoft, HP, Dell, every major electronic company is making similar moves. This is the biggest restructuring of global manufacturing since China entered the WTO in 2001. We are also seeing friend-shoring moving production to political allies and nearshoring bringing manufacturing closer to home markets. Mexico is booming for US production. Eastern Europe is growing for European markets. The era of seamless global trade is over. Trade is now a weapon, a tool of foreign policy, and a source of constant volatility. The trend number 5. The race for critical minerals and resources. Your smartphone, laptop, and electric car depend on minerals you have probably never heard of. Lithium, cobalt, rare earth elements, they are absolutely essential. Without them, the tech revolution stops. And China controls most of them, 60 to 70% or more of global rare earth processing capacity. Here is a specific example, the Mountain Pass mine in California. Mountain Pass is one of the richest rare earth deposits outside China. In the 1990s, it supplied most of the world's rare earths, but China flooded the market with cheaper alternatives and the mine shut down. For years, America became completely dependent on China for rare earths that go into smartphones, screens, EV motors, wind turbines, fighter jets, and precision-guided missiles. The US military was buying critical materials from its biggest geopolitical rival. During this year, 2025, Mountain Pass has been revived by MP Materials. But here's the catch. Even though they are mining in California, they initially shipped raw materials to China for processing because the US had completely lost the industrial capacity. America could dig minerals out, but couldn't process them. That's how dependent US had become on China. Now, MP Materials is building processing facilities in Texas with heavy government subsidies. But rebuilding this capacity takes years and costs billions. Meanwhile, China has been investing in rare earth mines across Africa, Latin America, and Asia, locking up global supply through long-term contracts. Other countries are learning the same lesson. Australia is ramping up production, Canada is reopening mines, African nations and Turkey are negotiating better deals. And finally, trend number 6, the rise of electrostate and sustainable tech leadership. For a century, global power was tied to oil, but 2026 marks a historic turning point, the rise of electrostates, nations that dominate electric vehicles and renewable energy technology. Let me show you with one company, BYD. BYD stands for Build Your Dreams. Most Americans hadn't heard of them 5 years ago, but in 2024, BYD surpassed Tesla to become the world's largest electric vehicle manufacturer. BYD's dominance goes deeper than sales. They manufacture their own batteries, giving them massive cost advantages. They produce electric buses operating globally. They are vertically integrated, controlling everything from raw materials to final assembly. Here is what makes BYD the perfect electrostate example. The Chinese government heavily subsidized the EV industry for over a decade. Grants, tax breaks, preferential policies, they created massive domestic demand by mandating electric vehicle quotas. They invested in nationwide charging infrastructure. And the result? China isn't just participating in the EV revolution, they are dominating it. BYD exports vehicles globally at a price traditionally automakers can't match. They are building factories in Thailand, Brazil, and Hungary. Meanwhile, Ford and GM are losing money on every EV they sell. European manufacturers like Volkswagen face intense competition from Chinese imports in their home markets. This shift is redistributing global power in real time. Traditional petrostates built on oil are scrambling to adapt. Saudi Arabia is investing heavily in renewables, trying to diversify before oil demand collapses. For countries importing energy, this transition offers energy independence. Generate your own electricity from wind or solar, store it in batteries, power your transportation, no longer vulnerable to oil price shocks. The BYD story shows the age of electrostate is here. China's decade-long bet is paying off massively and the rest of the world is scrambling to respond. Batteries now matter more than oil barrels. So there you have it, 6 trends reshaping 2026 with real examples. ACML caught in the US-China tech war, SpaceX launching the new space race for lunar resources, Tesla's Optimus robots entering the workforce, Apple restructuring its entire supply chain, Mountain Pass mine and America's rare earth struggle. Which trend will have the biggest impact on 2026? Which concern you most? Are humanoid robots exciting or terrifying? Drop your answer in the comments below. The future isn't something that happens to us. It's something we need to understand to navigate intelligently. And 2026 is going to be one hell of a ride. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.